You know, when I look at this, it kind of reminds me of Beyblade. Alright, so I got early access to Kachina or Kachina. I have no idea how to pronounce her name, but basically, the footage you're looking at is from the Creator Experience server, and the content here is subject to change, but in today's video, I want to share my first impressions of this little crazed driller. I will showcase her potential from C0 all the way to C6, how well she works with the new artifact set and the new 4-star craftable weapon, and even reveal some unique teams I've discovered. Most importantly, I'll also talk about the suspiciously looking Beyblade itself, and is it actually useful for exploration. In a nutshell, Kachina is the new 4-star Geopolarm user, and the most unique thing about her is this Turbo Twirly mount, as the game calls it, but I'll just shorten its name to Twirly. So let's take a look at the damage it's able to produce. I'll be using the new Footprint of the Rainbow 4-star craftable weapon and the new Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City artifact set. Also, all her talents are at level 9, and for now, she's Constellation 0. Now, starting off with her basic attacks, they are super cute and kinda cool to be honest. But that's about it. They deal negligible damage, especially since the rest of Kachina's kit fully scales with defense. But moving over to her skill, once you tap it, she will summon Twirly and it will deliver a total of 6 attacks in a pretty small AoE. As you can see, without any buffs, the damage is pretty bad, roughly 5,700 per hit, but she can also jump inside it if you press the skill again or hold it down when casting the skill initially. And then you can ride this Beyblade looking construct. In fact, you can slam it like a maniac by pressing the normal attack, and again, you can do this up to 6 times total. The damage will be slightly bigger as you can see here, since these slams have better multiplier, and also, I believe you can get up to 5 particles total after each slam, but one of the slams won't give a particle, so I don't know, go figure. Now, she also has a burst, believe it or not. It's got a fat multiplier, but without buffs, she only lands a 23,000 hit in AoE. And then, as you can see, she summons this field. Inside this field, whether Twirly is by itself or if she's riding it, the slam AoE will be bigger, which is nice. However, inside this field, she can use Twirly to ride it faster. And to showcase the difference in speed, I came up with this really stupid measurement. On Timmy's bridge, going back and forth to each side, you can do it normally 4.5 times before dismounting. But inside the burst, she can complete 6 laps total before she dismounts. Use this information however you want, I have no idea if it was even useful. Oh, and one more thing. When she uses the burst, if Twirly was already deployed, the burst will reposition it next to Kachina, which is useful when you're dealing with agile enemies. Still, can she deal great damage with some powerful buffs? Not really. I mean, it's not bad. But for example, with Furina's burst, Zhongli's resistance shredding shield, and Geo-resonance active, the burst deals over 40k damage. And each slam she does while riding Twirly ranges between 16 to 22k damage. Or if I use C6 Goro, the burst will crit for roughly 53,000 damage, and each slam with Twirly results in almost 18,000 damage. So overall, even in some best case scenarios, she can deliver about 160 to 180,000 damage in about 6 seconds if actively slamming, and less damage if she just leaves Twirly by itself, plus it will take longer for all the slams to happen, which will be around 12 seconds. So all in all, her damage output is not the worst, but without buffs, it's pretty much like whatever. But she does have quite a few ways to gain better damage. For example, by default, Twirly's damage is increased by 20% of Kachina's defense, and then the other passive talent says that whenever anybody triggers Night Soul Burst, she gains 20% geo damage bonus for 12 seconds. And as I've explained in Mulani's video, Night Soul Burst is just a thing that happens in intervals whenever anybody in the team deals elemental damage, and you see this white stuff appear. Now, the new weapon she's using is actually really nice. At R5, it provides 32% defense for 15 seconds after she uses her skill, which is enough to last through Twirly's entire duration if it's deployed, plus the weapon also provides chunky 51.7% defense from the substat. So all in all, pretty nice weapon if you want to focus on her personal damage. Finally, I want to quickly talk about the construct itself. That's right, Twirly is considered to be a construct. However, it seems like the 3 construct limit does not apply to it, and it also won't make other constructs disappear, which is great. And then, it also seems to not break on Oceanit's floor, and if you fight against certain mean bosses, it won't get destroyed. I feel really bad for Albedo right now, whose flower breaks so easily, and yet another new unit throws salt into his construct wound. Oh, and by the way, Twirly can resonate with Zhongli's pillar, even when she's riding it, so that's pretty funny. Overall, Kachina's damage is okay at best. However, the reason why she's actually pretty good right now is all thanks to the new artifact set, Scroll of the Hero of the Cinder City. The 2 set bonus allows her to recover 6 energy when Night Soul Burst is triggered, which is useful since her burst is pretty expensive, costing 70 energy, but the 4 set is where it shines. Long story short, if she triggers a reaction, both elements who are part of the reaction will boost the corresponding element units by giving them 12% elemental damage boost. But, and this is only unique to natlan units, if that reaction was caused by a unit who is in Night Soul Blessing state, so basically when this bar appears next to Kachina, the cause reaction will in addition provide 28% elemental damage. So, in other words, let's say I'm playing this mono Geo team with Fischl. She applies Electro, and then Kachina deals Geo damage and causes Crystallize from Electro. Now, all units who are Geo and Electro gain 40% elemental damage boost, which is pretty huge if you think about it. So, this is why she can be a great support unit in a lot of teams. Heck, she doesn't even need to use her burst. Just make sure she can trigger 1 Crystallize with an element you want to boost, and she already served her purpose for the team. But you can also slap on her Favonius Lance, and look at that. Now she can generate some particles for the team as well. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want to call her a walking artifact set, but her damage isn't the best, so this new set helps her a ton in terms of proving her worth in teams. However, that's not all she's useful for. Enter Natlan region, where you can utilize her Twirly as a means of transportation. Let's talk about that. So, similar to Mulani, if Kachina is a natlan, once her Night Soul energy runs out, which is this bar right here, she can switch to consuming Phlogiston resource above the HP bar. This is a unique pyro energy that can only be found in the Pyro Nation, of course. So, you can keep on riding Twirly while consuming Phlogiston, and you can also recharge it quickly by visiting these things I like to call gas stations. But she can also use Twirly to climb. In fact, in Natlan region, both Night Soul and Phlogiston decay 90% slower, so you can climb a lot in a pretty fast fashion. On top of that, when anybody else in the team is sprinting, climbing, or even mid-air, you can immediately switch to Kachina when she lights up like this. And as you can see here, she jumps onto Twirly afterwards. So yeah, that means you start climbing with somebody, their stamina is about to run out, and then you can switch to Kachina mid-climb and finish with her Twirly. Amazing! Additionally, she can also reveal resources in Natlan region, like the Ascension Flowers. And when you pick up any of these resources, 20 stamina points will be restored. So, she's actually gonna be amazing for exploration, especially when it comes to climbing. Finally, when she's in Natlan region, you can actually continue using Twirly in combat if you're riding it. So, as long as Phlogiston hasn't run out, you can keep on slamming like a maniac. Okay, let's quickly talk about the situation with Constellations. C1 allows her to absorb nearby crystallized shards whenever she mounts or dismounts Twirly, which will be useful in some cases, but on top of that, the shards can also help her regain 3 energy once every 5 seconds. Now, C2 is probably the most interesting one. When she uses her burst, she will regain 20 Night Soul points, which means if the skill is active, she will regain 1/3 of the bar. However, if she hasn't summoned Twirly yet, she will immediately summon it after the burst. Moving over, C3 and C5 are just your usual boring constellations that boost skill and burst by 3 levels. Nothing new here. But C4, man, it's actually pretty cool. So now, when there's 1, 2, 3, or 4 enemies inside the burst field, the active character will gain 8, 12, 16, or 20% defense respectively. So yeah, this means she can also boost someone like Ito or Chiori, which is really nice. Finally, C6 is is just additional damage. Whenever anybody's shield is destroyed or replaced, she will deal 200% of her defense as AoE damage. Now, the damage here is like whatever, but the utility to trigger geo application from shields, even when you're not using her, is pretty unique and nifty. Overall, I would say she's gonna be fine at C2, but if you want to boost defense scaling damage dealers, then C4 is a great stopping point too. So, what do I think about this Beyblade rider? I absolutely adore her. Not only are we getting her for free by just completing Natlan's story quest, but she actually provides value both in exploration and combat. Sure, her damage is like really mediocre, but even then, she can easily boost elemental damage by 40% thanks to the new artifact set, which she can trigger with such ease. And Twirly is absolutely amazing to use for climbing. Now, of course, if she's not in Natlan region, then Twirly is about as useful as Kirara's skill, although I would say it's a bit more clunky to be honest. So yeah, if you're not gonna pull for Mulani, but still want to experience that fast exploration in Natlan, I think Kachina can accomplish this pretty well. I mean, don't get me wrong, we can see if I time her speed compared to Mulani's, she is definitely slower than her on the ground, and she cannot even go on top of water. But Mulani cannot climb with her mount. So this 4-star actually does something better than a featured 5-star. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I'm not a crazy person here who thinks Twirly looks like a Beyblade. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.